Well, today I'm having coffee with Tom Pharr from Anchuca. And I probably shouldn't say this, but that asparagus soup.
Asparagus bisque.
Bisque, that's what it is. It's my favorite thing to eat in the world, Tom, in the world. And I need the recipe, which I understand was in Bluffs and Bayous at some point.
It's in our cookbook.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to have to buy that cookbook. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you today because I know you'll have lots of different things going on at Anchuca. You have a cafe, you have the bed and breakfast, you have lots of things that I just wanted to ask you to kind of give us the rundown on what's happening over at Anchuca.
Well, something new that's happening at Anchuca is going to happen this spring, and that is our poolside dining. We're going to take the little cabana, and I'm putting a little bar out there, and we're going to have tables and chairs, and we're going to have a poolside menu that's going to be, you know, just simple burgers,
so we can come out and have a drink, and
shrimp po' boys, frozen drinks. We're going to do the frozen drink, mojitos. Just make it much more casual, and also I think it's going to, or we're going to have a, in the cabana itself, we're going to have a satellite TV, so you'll have the sports games on there for Saturdays, and
so we don't have to be a guest. We can just come and.
You don't have to be a guest. You can come enjoy poolside, much more casual, simple, and it's something that people can enjoy on their own. It doesn't have to be just with a group. So if one person, I think, if they want to go have dinner somewhere, they're just more comfortable having a seat at the bar, or in an area that's not such a public area like the cafe.
Well, I come down there by myself quite a bit because I have to have the asparagus bisque.
Right.
Sometimes people are busy, so I just come by myself. Now, y'all have expanded your cafe hours.
We have. We're open now Wednesday through Sunday brunch. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for lunch and supper. Lunch is 11 to 2, supper, 5:30, 6 o'clock to around 9. And Sunday, the brunch is served 11 to 2.
And on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're also open for lunch.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, when you get the cabana, will that be the same hours?
What we're going to do is have the hours that the cafe has, which is 5 days a week and the weekend. And it'll also be there for special event. And our bed and breakfast guests really enjoy that. They like sitting out there and not having to go and change clothes to come inside the house. And that way they can keep track of what the score is on whatever game they're watching. I had some of the fellows that stay, their wives are out at the pool, and they keep coming around to the front door, peeking in the library, trying to find out what the score is on something. So we're going to solve all those issues.
They don't have to mask that anymore, right?
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and like I said, it's a neighborhood place. I want everyone to feel comfortable. It's not just for tourists; it's there for the community. Because what I've learned in this business is it's not just the tourists; it's the community that helps build a business. And so we're doing things that our neighbors and clients want to enjoy.
And it's a great community, isn't it?
It is. It's a fantastic.
Now, Tom, I was over at the cafe not too long ago, and you came over to my table, and I think Tina Cole was with me, if I'm not mistaken. And you started telling us a very entertaining story that I would like for you to tell me again. And that was when you were, I believe, working as a decorator in Manhattan?
I worked out of Atlanta, but I did a lot of projects on the East Coast, West Coast.
Do you remember the story that you told me? Where you had
there were many.
Dropped something very expensive, and now you have it in the mansion. That was a fantastic story, and I would like for you to tell me that story again because it was very entertaining.
That was a project I was working at that time. I was doing the 51st and 52nd floor of it was an apartment, but it was a temporary residence, but it was still an important residence for L.A. Reid, who was at that time CEO of Arista Records. And all the floors were French limestone, and we had this. It was sculpture. It was a glass piece by Oggetti. It was an Italian sculptor, and it was a large piece of glass that had all these interesting colors that had been infused in it. And I had it just as a nice piece on the shelf, a decorative piece.
And what was this piece of art worth?
Well, it was worth several $1,000s as a decorative piece of art. But as I was getting the last finishing touches on the project, something hit the shelf or something happened, and there was this loud bang. The shelf collapsed, and this large piece of Ogeti sculpture actually hit the limestone floor and started to bounce like a basketball.
And it's glass.
And it's glass.
Hitting limestone.
And so it was miraculous, but it was scratched up, and of course it was broken off of its base, but the sculpture itself. So Anchuca is full of parts and pieces of damaged goods from jobs that I worked on probably 15 years. So you had the
opportunity, I guess opportunity is the right word, for that piece of artwork to become yours, probably not by choice, I'm assuming.
Well, those are those nice little accidents that happen, and you just have to gobble it up and move on, and it becomes part of your collection.
And it really is a beautiful piece of artwork.
It is.
I did go in there and look at it that day.
And I've got it in a very safe place.
Yes,
now.
it is. It's way up in the corner. Like, you have to be looking for it really.
No more bouncing across the floor. But it was one of those pieces that's not my personal taste, but what do? You've broken something, and somebody has to buy it, and fortunately, and I guess it was me.
Yeah. What else is going on in Anchuca? What kind of events do y'all have there?
Well, we have lots of special events, birthdays. Of course, every day is a birthday, so that's a great thing about having a place that's unique to celebrate those type of occasions, because I said every week there's someone having a birthday every day. And, of course, we do rehearsal dinners, bridesmaids, luncheons. The rehearsal dinners are great for the groom's family. And so a little bit for everything. And we have motor coach tours they do dinner and tour the house, or lunch and tour the house. And the spring season, tapestry tours kick off the month of April. And that's a fantastic time to visit, because not only do you get the history of the house, but you also get the history of the personalities of the people who called Anchuca home. And I always kind of delve into the Davises of Warren County. That's who I highlight on the Anchuca tour during tapestry.
Mm-hmm. Do y'all have a lot of tourists?
They're steady. I find the digital age has changed our tourist. Well, not really the tourist, it's changed the way that people tour. Used to be the motor coach tour bus. I mean, your best friend was AAA and the motor coach tour lines, because that's how the European and most of your travelers found you, was through these advanced bookings and kind of collective traveling. The digital age has allowed people to, make their own schedule. And so we're finding that we don't have the buses lined up anymore. But yesterday afternoon I had 4 people visiting from Spain. They had coffee in the library, just on their own, touring. Mm-hmm. So we have 2 at a time now rather than 30 at a time. But that's why it's important, I think, to have the house open 7 days a week for tours, which we keep the house available for tourists 7 days a week. And that's important. And, of course, unless there's a special event or reason to close it. But the tourists are there. They're just not as visible. I can remember a time growing up here in Vicksburg that the motor coach tour buses would be lined up in front of the old courthouse museum. They would be lined up at the National Military Park. Well, people, even the Europeans, are traveling, on their own, in their rental car. So they're not as obvious, but they're here, and the numbers are growing, from my perspective.
Well, it's a great place to come and visit.
It is, and it's a great place just to hang out. The neighborhood the dynamics of the neighborhood is really changing. We've got a lot of young, professional, 20-something-year-old couples renovating cottages. Got retired folks renovating slightly larger homes. In the morning, people come in, breakfast, have coffee in the courtyard. Neighbors start to walk over on their way to work. Some of them actually work within the neighborhood, and so, their cars stay in the driveway all week. So they eat at Anchuca and Main Street Market and Walnut Hills and Rusty's and, all these great Eddie Mansour down at the Biscuit Company, and Duff's Tavern is going. So all these, the coffee house, the 61 Coffee House, I mean, there's just so many dining options now in the neighborhood that the people who are living there are developing a lifestyle that is unique to the neighborhood, because they literally can walk to places to eat, to art galleries, to coffee shops, and enjoy their neighborhood without ever getting in an automobile. So,
Tom, I know that you're a member of the Bed and Breakfast Association here in Vicksburg. What economic impact do the bed and breakfast have on the Vicksburg community?
Well, they have a great impact on the economics of a neighborhood, of this community. And I'll use Anchuca as an example because I know that product. Everyone knows Anchuca's on the corner of First East and Cherry. In some instances, people could see that property as the big white elephant on the corner. And when properties were not thriving, businesses were not established, the small little cottages around, people were hesitant to invest, even small investors, because of, what's to become of the Salvation Army that became Duff Green Mansion, the bed and breakfast. Anchuca had some decline. Anchuca's saving grace, though, is the fact that it's always been owner-occupied. So it's always had someone caring about the property. But the business side of things, what's amazed me is how the neighborhood has changed from a business perspective and how it's thriving now. Because Anchuca is established and people know what the product is, they understand what Anchuca is now. They understand its relationship to the area. People are feeling more confident in investing in the houses across the street, on the corner. The smaller investor is feeling more comfortable in the neighborhood because the big properties, like what Miss Bullard did to the George Washington Ball House, other private citizens like Nelda Sampay and the Stegelman House, that was once Section 8 or rental property. It's now single-family home. We've seen the dynamics of the neighborhood go from more than 80% rental property in our surrounding block to now it's more than 80% owner-occupied. And then the employees. You look at our employees, of course, we started with no employees. I ironed sheets every night to Larry King and scrubbed toilets and made beds and learned how to do all the things that had to be done at a bed and breakfast. And as we've grown and hired more people to work there, we provide employment opportunity within the neighborhood. Our retired teachers are now working at receptionists. We've got retired sales people that once worked at Sears that are now helping us in the office with accounting, bookkeeping. I've got young high school kids that come back during the summer. I've had some of the high school kids start with me in 9th, 10th grade year at high school. They've gone all the way through college and have gotten married and still come back to Anchuca to have lunch. And so the impact it has on a community is just tremendous. And it's not until I can look back over 10 years and understand all the lives that it affects and the economics it brings to an area. It makes people feel more comfortable that it's established and they know what that property will be. And they feel comfortable investing around it. And the employment opportunities from the retired to the young to someone who wants to make a career of it. And again, they can live in the neighborhood and walk to work. So,
well, you kind of anchor that whole block, really.
That corner. Well, there are many anchors. I mean, once all the anchors are established, and when I say many anchors, you've got Duff Green Mansion anchors a corner, Anchuca, George Washington Ball, the Basinski House, Governor McNutt, Christ Church is a big corner anchor, that building. We've got a concentrated area of just a few blocks with a lot of great anchors, and those anchors allow all the little stuff to happen and allow the community to thrive and be a place to be. It is the place to be and to live and work and shop and enjoy life. And so the quality of life that is generated from all those parts and pieces it's a fantastic place to live and experience.
Well, I want to come down and do a walking tour of your block and have you walk around and point out different things right there in that block where you're located. In the meantime, I'll be there tomorrow for a birthday celebration with my mom and her friends and to get my asparagus biscuits.
Love to have you. You all come to Anchuca.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed sitting down talking to you today, and I look forward to doing our walking tour soon.
You're welcome.
Thank you.